Welcome to another episode of Coffee with a Kick. I, of course, am Zander, and that guy on the other screen there is Kegan, and we are back with Match Day 1 recap. I'll start off by saying, not too shabby on the predictions for both of us. We actually came out even. I counted up here. We were 7 correct.
Wow,
4 incorrect. That math. 6 correct, 4 incorrect. I was like 7 and 4. That math doesn't add up. But anyway, when you consider unlike American sports that there are 3 possible outcomes, that's doing pretty well.
Yeah. Yeah, my Aston Villa prediction did not prove.
No, that one was a tough one. Yeah, that was not a very good result for you. But we'll go ahead and break into it, starting from first match, the opening of the season with a classic Burnley and Man City clash. I don't know. There's not much to say about this. It was City all the way from pretty much the jump. They were in control from the beginning, and I can't remember when their first goal was, but it was pretty early on there.
Yeah, 4 minutes in.
Yeah,
pretty Holland.
And the bet that we made that Holland would beat Burnley single-handedly would have paid out for you. I mean, he got a brace and they got nothing.
This is not a betting. We're not sponsored by betting.
Nope, and we don't. I personally don't bet myself. Couldn't speak for you. Are you a degenerate gambler?
This is solely for fun. But should our percentage start getting high, I'm not going to say you shouldn't throw some dollars down. Anyways, Holland dominated. I'm a little concerned about the Kevin De Bruyne injury.
Yeah, coming up hobbled there. Non-contact. Is he just still nursing his off season, or is this something new?
It seemed like it was same injury. Mm-hmm. I think it was the same hamstring, and apparently he didn't think he was going to play, and then he got put in the lineup. So,
I heard that, yeah.
So perhaps that had something to do with it. Who knows?
Didn't warm up as much as he would have normally. Yeah, and then Burnley gets a real cheap red card. Like, it was a deserved red card there in stoppage time for no reason at all, really.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of frustration. It seemed like he wanted to argue it, but then he knew that it was a red card. It was
studs up.
Yeah.
No reason for it.
I will say Burnley looked pretty good in that second half. Once they got, settled in, they seemed to give City some problems, but I don't know if that was more of City giving up or whatever.
Yeah, it's like, hey, it's game 1, match 1. We're already up 2-0. I mean, Rodri's goal was... It was a great ball in, but his finish was just more of just a scramble in front of the goal. But I think City looks good going in. Not the best looking squad out of the weekend, for sure, but definitely a quality win on their side. Anytime you're getting 3 away points, you cannot complain about that.
No, I mean, as long as the ball goes in the back of the net, it doesn't matter how. Mm-hmm. Now, the VAR officials in the 2018 Champions League versus Tottenham would argue that. But beside the point, if it goes in, it can.
Generally, that is the case. Actually, there's a match later on that both sides had disallowed goals for fair reasons. But we'll get to that in a moment. Moving on to our Saturday clashes, starting off with Arsenal and Nottingham Forest in the early match. This match could have gone very differently. Nottingham had a very strong chance there at the 11th minute that should have gone in. They should have capitalized on that. But instead, Arsenal did take over to a certain degree. With a nice move by Martinez, which may or may not have been an accident. We'll see. I don't know. Giving Nketiah a very easy shot into the back of the goal for their first one in the 26th.
Yeah, it was. Arsenal looked good first half. I mean, Nottingham Forest had their chances, but they looked really good first half. Second half, Arsenal looked like they did last year. little bit of inexperience, in my opinion.
I don't want to overlook Bukayo Saka's fantastic curler from outside the circle, man. Whew, that was a great goal. And then Nottingham Forest, they kind of settled into the match in the second half, and that counterattack in the 85th to make it interesting for the last couple of minutes really did a little bit against the run of play, but it was a lightning fast counterattack, which can get you goals in the EPL.
Yeah, my only issue with that Saka goal is that he made it look too easy. He made it look like anyone could do that.
And we know.
Flick of the ankle. Now, I could probably do it, put me out there, but...
Put me out there, give me, 100 shots with no one else around. I could do it at some point.
Yeah, and, I mean, poor Matt Turner. He couldn't do anything. He tried.
There's those times the goalkeeper where you make a show of it, but there's no chance. You're like, I can't just stand it, because that looks way worse. If you're just like, oh.
You're right. He full extended. He was still 2 feet away, but he full extended. He was trying.
Anyway, Arsenal, we both got that one right. Nottingham Forest not looking terrible. They may mess around and stay up this season as well. Moving on to the next match that I have in order, I have Bournemouth and West Ham United. Let's see what we got here. The angle of the pitch, the camera angle, made it look huge out there. I don't know if their stadium is that big, but the camera angle is low, so it was shooting all the way across the field. Terrible to watch.
Yeah, Bournemouth Stadium's not huge, so the camera angle does make it. It's that weird camera angle where it's at an angle, and it doesn't really allow for a full appreciation. But, I mean, this was a good game. Bournemouth fought. I mean, they ended up getting the draw in the end. But, West Ham just couldn't put it away.
Bournemouth's goal was also a fantastic shot. 2 yards outside the circle on the top of the box. Struck true just to the outside, a little curler to the near post. Yeah. Fantastic one. But it was a very entertaining 1-1 draw, which I think is the opposite of what I said in the episode, that it was going to be a boring 1-1 draw. But either way, I'll take exciting over boring any day.
Yeah, West Ham will be excited because they did just sign James Ward-Prowse, the creative midfielder from Southampton. I feel like they were lacking that last touch in there. So I think next week it might be different for them. Hopefully so.
I mean, I'm always a fan of West Ham staying up just so I can keep looking at their kits. The claret and blue always is a good combo for me. Next up, with Brighton Hove Albion, Luton Town. This one got out of hand for good old Luton Town there.
This one surprised me.
Yeah.
It really did. I thought they were going to be more excited to be in the Premier League.
They are in the Amex, so there's that, I suppose. But really, Brighton was just the better side all the way through. There was not much of a time where you're like, oh, Luton's keeping up. No, it was. They definitely looked like a recently promoted club. It did not bode well.
Yeah, the first 5 minutes for Luton was very chaotic, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. They just were running at the ball, sliding everywhere. Didn't seem like they had any core set of structure out there. It seemed like their coach just said, go have fun. And they didn't. They did not have fun. They lost 4-1.
They did not, no.
But they did get a penalty.
I mean, the goal that they gave up in the 85th, with you're already down. Well, you just scored, so you brought it back to 2-1. You have a little bit of momentum, and then in the 85th minute, your defender just gives up the ball way down in your end and leads to a pretty easy volley. Does kill your momentum quite terribly.
Yeah, newly promoted side. That's what I have to say.
Yeah, and their kits don't look very good out there on the field either. We were hoping that maybe it would make sense, but it's not great. Now Everton and Fulham. This match Everton, I don't know how Everton didn't win this match. They looked the better side for the vast majority of the period. They had a goal disallowed, which I thought was rather questionable there in the 35th minute. They had a goal that was disallowed.
I'm of the opinion. I really think them disallowing that goal messed with them a little bit mentally.
Mm-hmm.
But you gotta put it away. I do agree. Yeah, Everton looked like they were the better side, but they just couldn't
get in. The 57th minute, another great chance that Fulham had that just ricocheted off the post and didn't go in. It was a fantastic little volley. And then there's this sudden attack there in the 30-minute. Sudden fluidity and a fantastic cross led to a Fulham tap in there where it looked like Everton just fell asleep because the guy on the backside was totally unmarked when the ball came across for, what is this, De Cordova Reed.
Yeah, Bobby Reed. Yeah, I want to give him credit for his positioning, but you hit it right. I mean, he was in a good spot, but he shouldn't be that open.
No, when you're playing 4 in the back, you can't. Your backside defender can't just let a free runner come in. You could chalk it up to a little bit of like beginning of the season, maybe a little bit of defensive miscommunication, but
definitely a lot of ball watching happening in Everton. They need to clean that up.
Yeah, Fulham, lucky for them, I guess, because they didn't look the better side for most of the evening.
They didn't, but that's 3 away points, so they'll take it.
3 is 3. And then we get to this one we won't have to talk about much. Sheffield United versus Crystal Palace. Not a lot happened in this game, I got to tell you. Pretty dry. A pretty dry affair.
This one was boring. I will say the goal was, I don't want to say cheap, but it was like, all right, I don't know if you should allow that to go in.
It was a hammered cross, but in the end there's sometimes I can't read my own handwriting on that one, so I'll just let that note go. Something happened in the 86th minute that I thought was somewhat interesting, but I can't read it. On to the next one, because that's about all that happened in this one. On to the next one. Jeez Louise. On to Newcastle versus Aston Villa. This one was, speaking of getting out of hand, 5-1 is not a scoreline you see every day. Newcastle definitely upping the ante for their goal scoring production this year.
Yeah, this is why I picked them to be second to finish second. I feel like they have the firepower. They added some pretty good bodies, and Aston Villa is not bad. They did not play great today.
I think it finished 5th last season, right?
Yeah, I think it was 6th or 7th. They were up there. But I don't think they were ready for Newcastle. I really don't.
Yeah. Yeah, it's and those Newcastle goals, they weren't cheapies either. Like they were well earned. The first goal there in the 6th minute was a fantastic cross leading to a sliding volley past the goalkeeper. And then Aston Villa comes right back in the 11th with a good ball in, headed to the back post or back into the side of play, and then hammered home on a volley. But Newcastle, that set piece in the 16th minute that they pulled off, they started on the left side of the pitch, pass it across to the right, and then that's when the runners go and play it across back to the left side, headed into the middle again on the right, and the defenders are just, their heads are whipping back and forth everywhere. Easy ball into the back of the net there. Really good set piece work there on the 16th, which is something that the top teams have down. So, goes towards your finishing second prediction, that if Newcastle is pulling that stuff out of the training ground, that bodes well because that stuff travels.
Yeah. Yeah, they're looking good. Newcastle's looking good. And then, Isak's third goal, chipping the keeper.
Oh,
pretty
cheeky stuff. Cheeky stuff.
And that could have been prevented, if I remember correctly, that scene, I think Aston Villa had the ball.
Oh, yeah, it was real sloppy defense giving that ball away there, and just a deft touch there to get the ball over the goalkeeper.
Yeah. Yeah, then you got the super sub, Callum Wilson. I think he always scores every time he plays.
Really, it was just Aston Villa was trying to pull a high line there as Newcastle was in possession, and they just got flat out beat. You know, the high line is a big risk, and if they get the timing right, which Callum did, it's easy to get past them.
He timed that right into the top corner.
Yeah. All right, and then we'll move on to. I know there's one more goal, but we've talked about that match enough.
We can't get them all when you score that much.
We can't get them all. And then moving on to Sunday, Brentford and Spurs. This one was a tale of two halves, as in there's only a tail in one half.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. I mean, Tottenham's got off to a hot start. Mm-hmm. They score, and I'm thinking, well, maybe Harry Kane, they'll start the era, and then within, 9 minutes, they go down 2-1, and it felt like classic Spurs.
Yeah, I mean, Brentford earned the PK there in the 27th, and then in the 37th, they say 36th here. It was a great ball in there for the Brentford second goal, and just get it past the goalkeeper. That's all you got to do. You just get it past the goalkeeper, and typically it goes in.
That's the idea.
It's the ideal even.
I am concerned with Tottenham because two of their defenders scored. And that's not really what you want to see, especially after your striker just signed for Bayern Munich.
Yeah, it's not a great look. I can't remember. I forgot to write down which team this was. But one of the teams had a very good chance there at the end of the first half that it should have been 3-2 with a well-struck cross.
I think that was Brentford.
I think it was. That's what my memory was, but I didn't write down which team I was noting. But Brentford looking surprisingly good. I mean, I know. Listen, I said that the Spurs would finish second. Do I feel great about that? I don't. They drew Brentford 2-2 and could very easily have lost, which is not a great sign. But you know what? What we'll do is we'll move on to Chelsea versus Liverpool. That's what we'll do. Not a lot to say about this match. Again, it was basically all first half action. Not a lot happened in the second half at all.
Yeah, it felt like a classic in the first half. And I kind of felt like the second half, both teams didn't really get that breakthrough that they were trying to get. Mm-hmm. I mean, the second half for me felt kind of boring. Yeah. There wasn't a lot of excitement.
No, but Liverpool started off with a fantastic cross from Salah that left a routine tap in. It was a fantastic. It was a De Bruyne-esque cross, except for the opposite side of the field from typical. But it was a great one in. And then in the 29th, they almost went up, doubled their lead, but Salah was actually offsides.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not biased, but it's pretty typical. Mm-hmm. He's offside quite a bit. Take a look at that VAR. Take a look.
Oh, we'll get to VAR here in a second. I'm pretty peeved about earlier today or yesterday, Monday, the match on Monday, and then Chelsea they recycled a corner, which got their scrappy sort of goal there in front of the net. Wasn't very pretty, but it works. And then they had their own goal disallowed from offsides. Yeah, and that was all my notes.
I think for Chelsea, who, Chelsea felt like they needed something. So I think drawing Liverpool, who's kind of a big boy, I think that gives them some confidence as a young team.
Yeah. And then we'll move on to the match from Monday, Man United versus my Wolves. And I got to say, my Wolves look pretty good.
They look good, and I don't want to jump ahead, but I think they got robbed of a point.
Oh, no. It's my last note. I don't know how that was not a penalty kick. It was a WWE move that the goalkeeper pulled there on my fella there in the box. And the ball was nowhere near Like, the ball was already out of play by the time the goalkeeper got there.
Misses the ball completely, and not only misses the ball, but drives through the player. I'm like, in my head, I'm like, all right, clear penalty, 1-1, this is great.
I mean, commentators were on that side as well. He's like, if this is a very clear penalty, I don't know how they would not allow it to go in. Our manager ends up getting a yellow card for dissent because it was the wrong call. So that will happen.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. It was pretty bad, and Onana clearly was not in control either.
No.
It didn't even seem like he was going for the ball, and once he missed it, he just committed to taking out the player. And
wasn't in control, was endangering another player. The ball was away. I mean,
in the box.
In the box. You stack those. That seems like almost like a bullet pointed list for what a PK is. And multiple, like, you have to have 2 of these 3 or 2 of these 4, and you had 4 of the 4.
Maybe even 5. I don't even know what the 5th one would be, but you had 5.
Yeah, the 5th one was late in the match, and then you're like, oh well, it's Man United versus the Wolves in Old Trafford, so that's what happened. It's like, oh, we'll just mark these out of here. Just they win.
Yeah, it's moments like this where it makes me feel like VAR isn't doing what it should be, what it ought to do, what it was created for, which is make sure that these types of decisions are made so the football is fair.
Yep. And it failed in this regard, definitely. I thought it was a pretty even match overall. I mean, it was... I feel like we deserved a point out of it is the thing. I just feel like we deserved a point out of it. We looked good. Our guy Cunha looks great. He had 2 or 3 fantastic, almost 3-quarter field runs.
Oh, yeah.
And so I'm excited about that guy. And, I feel good. Well, I feel bad. As bad as I feel about that Tottenham prediction, I also feel bad about that 18th slot from the Wolves because... they did not look bad.
Yeah, I mean, I think the new manager seems to have brought in some more attacking-minded football. I feel like Wolves have always been the team that sits back and defends, and that worked for a time. But they look good. I think they're a top-half team if they play like that.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. And they're young too, so you can see a little bit of the immaturity. Like there's a little bit too much aggression, a little bit of lackadaisicalness when they get up to the last third. The touches aren't quite crisp, but it was a lot of forward momentum, and you need that. You can't look like who was it that looked so recalcitrant all game long? I think it was it Chelsea? I don't know. I can't remember which team it was that had made that impression upon me. But it is not the Wolves, which I am happy about. All right. That, I say, is enough about match day 1. Our predictions were pretty good. I thought there were some pretty good matches, some blowouts. But, we're getting ready for match day 2, which will come out our predictions for this Friday morning.
So, from match day 1, who's a team for you that stood out, and who's that team that you think, I think they could do better?
Well, I think Newcastle's brought a lot of energy into this new season. I think that your second pick. I mean, I didn't have them in the top 4 for this season. So I think that's going to end up looking like a pretty bad prediction on my part, which I am not. Yeah, it's a long season, but I mean, they had some serious promise in there, and I'll say that there's some bottom half teams that didn't look half bad either. Like Brentford didn't look terrible. Maybe Nottingham Forest has figured things out because they didn't look terrible against Arsenal. I know they lost, but still. It looks good. As far as bad teams, boy, Sheffield and Luton Town. both not great.
Yeah.
That Crystal Palace match could have gone way worse for them. It's a miracle they got out of there with just only one goal against. But I think those my bottom two are two of the teams that just came up. But seriously, Luton Town and Sheffield United were not good.
Yeah, I think for me, a team that stood out, Newcastle, obviously, but I really think that Fulham stood out for me.
Yeah.
Getting a win at Goodison Park against an Everton team that looked good.
Yeah.
Everton probably should have won the match, not just drawn, but won. But Fulham stood in there and they got 3 points. That stood out for me.
That's fair. I mean, Fulham struggled last season a lot, so starting off with a win, definitely, putting that right foot forward it's a good step.
Yeah, the team that I think needs to get better is Tottenham.
Yeah.
I just think that they have the money to invest. They've invested it. They have good players. Even though Harry Kane isn't there, I think they got to win that game versus Brentford. And I really think they're going to struggle this year. And I think I kind of want to put them as a bottom half team right now if they continue to play.
Wow. That would go over poorly with the fans.
I'm okay with that. I'm not a Tottenham fan, so if they don't want it to go over like that, then be better.
Yeah, just get good. It's
good.
The motto of the century. Just get good. All right, and we will move on from this to just a little tiddly bit of midweek action. We've got that UEFA Super Cup. Oh man, powerhouses here. The champions of the Champions League and the champions of Europa League. Boom, got it. Don't worry about it. I know what it's called. Man City versus Sevilla. I'm sure this will be a fascinating match to watch.
Real barn burner. Yeah. I'm okay with this because Sevilla can only win the Europa League. So I think that it'll be a Man City win.
Yeah.
I think the stat is that Sevilla has won like 6 of the last 9 or 10 Europa Leagues.
Really?
It's pretty crazy how many they've won. They're like the Europa League team.
We're the best of the kind of good teams.
Yeah, they are the best at winning the losers bracket. That is what they are.
You know what? There are those teams. There are those teams who are like, listen, I'm not the worst because I prove it every year. Because I beat all
got
the
a trophy. Whatever that trophy means, we got 6 or 7 of them. But yeah, I think City will come out with the win. I think our squad's a little too strong. And
even without De Bruyne, you still got that big old Norse Viking up top.
Yeah, the man that eats like 5 pounds of pasta before every game, and he chugs his
that's a lot.
What is it? It's like kale chocolate milk after the game to recover.
Oh, that seems bitter. It seems very bitter. I know it's chocolate, but it's European chocolate, so they don't use as much sugar.
He is. I think there was one interview, going off on a Holland rant here. There was one interview where he talked about how he rarely eats the normal meat from animals, but because he's from Norway, they end up eating like the livers.
Yeah, livers, kidneys. What they call the offal, OFFAL. Not a joke. That's what you call guts when you eat them. You call them the offal.
And I'm going to say it's not making him awful. So he can keep eating it all he wants.
I was going to say, it's hard to argue with his results, I suppose. It's not for me, but maybe that's why I'm not,
it's hard to
world-class striker.
Yeah. You got to start eating some guts. That's what we need to do.
Hard to find in American grocery stores, as a matter of fact. Livers, hard to find livers. I peruse the Meijer meat section. Don't see a lot of livers and kidneys on offer. I could be wrong.
Section. That's a Midwest shout out right there.
Listen, I am where I am, and I am in the Midwest. But you had some transfer. Well, I'm going to start with my bit of transfer news because I remember it. That Neymar is on his way to the sandy destination of Saudi Arabia. Now, all their names are like L something. So is he on the same team as Cristiano Ronaldo, or is it a different L something team?
It's a different team. This one is Al Hilal, I think. Al Hilal.
Al Hilal.
This team has your former Wolves player, Ruben Neves.
Ruben Neves.
And it's got, I think, a couple of former Chelsea players. But, yeah, they got Neymar. I think
almost $100 million, which definitely helps your bank account.
Yeah, it's I don't know. Neymar, I think moving to PSG was good in theory, but I think now he's been there for a while. The project's kind of over.
Yeah, Messi's in Miami. What's his name? The young boy for France.
Mbappe.
Yeah, Kylian Mbappe. He's not happy. Neymar's gone.
Yeah, and I think some of these players, like Messi, Neymar, they know that they're not going to necessarily lose attention because they go to these leagues.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I mean, Messi, in terms of media coverage, it seems like he's getting more media coverage now than probably ever did. That may just be an American perspective. But even Ronaldo, I see more of Ronaldo than I think I did when he was over at
PSG. Oh, Man U. Yeah, well, for Man U, he was shelved away for so long that he kind of dropped off the radar.
Yeah, and so why not get some attention, go make a ton of money? Like his contract is 2 years, £98 million.
Is that all?
So he just missed the 9-figure club. So I do feel bad for him with that part, but
he got some of the oil money, not all of the oil money.
But Neymar was not the most expensive transfer news of yesterday.
Do tell.
Moises Caicedo agrees to go to Liverpool. Chelsea they come speaking in, and he rejects Liverpool for Chelsea for the British world record fee. £115 million.
115 million. He's a midi? Is that right?
He's a midfielder. He'll play CDM, CM. But I mean, a lot of people think it's controversial because he does not have the really pedigree of a Declan Rice, of a Jack Grealish. He's pretty new, so it's a bold bet.
Well, anything that gets Jurgen Klopp one more step towards the door is okay in my books.
Jurgen Klopp did come out and discuss his frustration at Chelsea, and he used the quote, "Whatever the manager wants, he gets," over at Chelsea. So I think he's a little frustrated because not only did they lose out on Caicedo, but they're about to lose out on Romeo Lavia, as he also agreed for Liverpool. And Chelsea said, "Hold my beer."
They're going to steal. They're going to steal two guys from Liverpool in 1 week. Wow.
Yeah, just really 1 to 2 day span.
That's cutthroat. Listen, I'm all for it. Chelsea needed the help.
Businessman,
Yeah.
It's pretty wild numbers going out there. Chelsea, I think, is about to spend $100 billion since Todd Bowley took over.
Whoa.
On transfer.
$100 billion. That seems like a lot to me. Mainly because it is, I think. Yeah, probably so.
Yeah, for perspective, I think Man City spent that between 2010 and 2021, which 11 years to spend $1 billion is also a lot.
It's a lot. But to be fair, people don't look that City also sell and produce a lot of valuable people, the mid-range players, and sell them out. Their books are a lot more balanced than some other clubs. Now, do I get most of my financial data from avowed City fans? Yes, I do. So, there's a give and take.
One piece of interesting part about the Romeo Lavia is he came from Man City's academy. Mm-hmm. We sold him to Southampton with a, I think, 25% sell-on clause. Okay. So everybody he goes to Chelsea for, we get 25% of that money.
Just give me a little of that back.
So we only sold him once, but we basically sold him twice for more money.
And you know what? That's why your books look so good. That's why you're totally not in trouble for financial shenanigans. Alleged financial shenanigans. Alleged financial shenanigans.
Hey, we beat it once. We'll beat it again.
You probably will, because your owners have enough money that they can make that stuff seem to just go away.
Amen.
All right. Well, that probably wraps us up here. Any other transfer news that you wanted to hit?
No. I think I saw an image of Jordan Henderson in his new Saudi Arabian kit, and he looked like a defeated man, and I enjoyed it. That's it. I just wanted to mention Jordan Henderson not looking his best.
Well, I'm sure he's getting paid plenty of money to look unhappy. So, to each his own, I suppose.
Yeah, he's making more money than me, so that's it. He doesn't.
You know what? But. Facts. That's just a fact right there. All right, well, that wraps it up for this episode. Go ahead and, I don't like to do the sharing thing. Like and subscribe. Follow us on Twitter.
Subscribe. Turn on your notifications.
Hit that bell. Hit the bell. Ding, ding, ling, ling. Ding.
Get the bell moving. If it's not moving, you're not doing it right.
We're also on Facebook if anybody under the age of 50 still uses that for any regular purpose. And the website, you could go to meetinthemiddle.co/coffeewithakick, or just meetmeinthemiddle.co, because it's about all that we post right now. And we'll catch you next time on